I would like to just welcome everyone here. I'm not, if we have new people or returning people that haven't been here, and those that have been here along for the ride for the whole time, welcome. And I just want to tell you that we record the agenda part of the meeting and try to stay within an hour time. And then after the meeting hour, the recording's going to stop and general discussion and sharing is going to follow, because it is so good to recognize that part of what brings us together is the need to share our stories, constructively express our frustrations, joy, and heartache. So, any and all attendees are invited and welcome to stay on as long as your day allows. And if there's something important we have during the sharing time, we'll put it on the next agenda. So I just want to share our purpose with you real fast. Illinois Caregivers for Compromise was created to advocate for loved ones of all ages living in residential long-term care facilities. Our voices are being heard by public officials, government agencies, media outlets, and the public. We continue to help families and friends establish working relationships with facility leaders, state ombudsmen, and state legislators to gain access to loved ones. We support a safe reopening plan, which includes compassionate essential care. We have a contact form that if you haven't filled it out, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, because what this does will help us streamline information and get it to you. We don't share the email with anybody. We just send it out so that you all can get the most up-to-date information. And the meeting agenda is as follows, and I'll drop it in the link in just a second. And so we're going to start with the signs, and that is Carrie. Welcome, everyone.
The sign campaign. So hopefully the sign should be here any minute. The last email I have from UPS is before 9 o'clock today. If that is the case, I will actually meet Lucy in the morning, and she will take half of the signs that are for people that have already ordered them with her to get them to that part of the state. I'll keep half, and then we'll figure a plan from there to get them to everybody. The big part of what we need to figure out with the sign campaign is we have 400 signs that somewhere between March 13th and 14th, we want to see them in the ground, divided at 200 at a time, whether it's in people's front yards, whether it is in businesses. Our plan with the signs is to start in Central Illinois, work south, and then back up towards the top of the state and go to Chicago, and then work their way back down. So this way we're in the southern part of the state until the ground thaws a little more. Anybody you know that might have a piece of property, a front yard, that would be willing to let us put them in for 3 to 5 days, it does not have to be a main road. We will be notifying the press as the signs move around the state, and they will draw their own attention. The more we move them, the more attention they're going to draw. We're doing it reverse of all the other states for the most part. A, because that's something that's going to work for us, and B, with the fact that the legislator, just as our bill is still sitting in the Rules Committee trying to get a number, they'll be working the bill all through the spring. So hopefully that will help with us keep garnering media attention with our signs moving around. We will also need 2 to 3 people every time the signs need to come up or go in the ground. They say it takes about an hour to pull them and about an hour and a half to put them in. We're going to do it at my house for sure. I live on a main highway. I have a location indicator and a location in Mount Zion that I know of for sure. And after that, anywhere we can go, and especially some of the smaller towns. The other part of it is, somebody the other day was mentioning, if you know of any of these small towns that have a little park and have any connection with the mayor or the city council, if we can get them into parks even, or places like that, like in New Jersey, they're mostly doing parks. Anywhere we can get them to garner attention. And I know at one point that someone was concerned, what if somebody steals one or steals some? We're just going to have to take it on faith, guys. We can't monitor signs 24 hours a day.
Is there any, estimated timetable as to when it would be back up north to, where I am up in Lake County?
No, there's no way to know until we know how many people.
I'm just wondering, because I do have a contact in the mayor's office, and there is a park in Gurnee. That's where I have this contact, and it is quite visible. And so I'm just like wondering how, I'd like to give them as much information as I can about like.
So why don't you pick a day somewhere from like after April 1st, okay? Start there.
And just really just a logistical question. How much room, we have small cars. How much room does 200 signs take up in the back of a car?
So there 200 signs fits in 4 boxes. Each sign is 18 by 24. So they're not huge.
So 4 boxes that are.
But that's not including the legs. Okay, and that's my question. I would think once we've put them together and they've been in the ground, I don't think you're going to want to take them apart every time. Right.
Once they're in, it actually is really difficult, and it ruins them kind of if you take them in and out.
So then moving them, you're right. It's going to take at least a smaller SUV to get them in and kind of shingle them.
Okay.
Good question.
At the point where somebody has them in the back of their car or SUV or whatever, send me a picture.
Okay.
So we're working on a press release. What I need from everybody else is any media contact you have. If you have a direct contact or you know somebody that knows somebody, the more direct we can get to the media and not just have them go through their, submit information. We need it by area. We need it all across the state. Any contact we can get. If you guys would email them to us.
As Lori just mentioned in the chat, consider selecting certain areas of the state around larger media markets with TV stations and ask for support for sign placement on their Facebook page.
Between the 1st and the 5th, we're going to be asking people all over, not just Illinois, all over the country to bombard CMS to start with. And going Evan Schulman and Dr. Lee Fletcher. And the reason we're asking for a yellow envelope is it's really easy to delete 1,000 emails. It might even be easy to pretend like you could ignore 1,000 regular envelopes. But when you start getting 1,000 yellow envelopes, it's going to be much harder to ignore. We're also going to ask people, obviously, to share it, get your family, get your friends to help.
Jill has been working on these graphics, and they're really cool.
Yeah.
So for the Facebook, on a daily basis, we'll be putting these graphics up just like we do, on everything else. This format can be put up in the cover or in the Facebook posts. The one with the space that you showed a second ago, that can have some big blurbs on the right side. I had some examples of those, but I don't think I included it last time. So Fran is saying we should do this like twice a day, but I whittled it down to just, a couple of versions. They should be very, recognizable, and hopefully we'll have the links and everything in the description or comments section.
Lori has written fabulous letters that people can either use as fill in the blank or just print them off.
Good morning, everybody. I have at this point made changes enough that I think we've got something that's workable for both CMS and for Governor Pritzker's office. And we know the Governor Pritzker's office stuff will get sent on to IDPH. And I'll be sharing the Governor Pritzker letters as well. The wording for Governor Pritzker, I think, doesn't have to be much different than this. I think the most important thing I want to say about these is, and it really, Jill made me think about doing this. I have bolded the slug line purpose for the letter. And so across all of the communication, in my mind, based upon conversations here and the traffic on the Facebook page, our primary purpose is to ask CMS to reinforce adherence to what is already out there as far as guidelines go for compassionate care visits, essential caregiver designation, and infection control. Because infection control continues to be a problem in some facilities. That's why people can't get in. Staff continues to come in sick, or they're giving it to members of the patient base, and to update guidance then for safely and strategically reopening things. The good news about that message in that slug line is no matter what happens with weather, March 12 or after, no matter what happens with signage, no matter what happens with variants, all of that still applies. So that is the beauty in that bolded piece. And so if you're a person who likes to add your own personal appeal, you can do that in one version. I've left the second paragraph and I've given an example of the kind of personal statement that might be included there. I thought of each of you and your stories as I wrote that example. And I know you each have your own perspective, and we certainly have people on the Facebook page who have a perspective, especially if they're still digging a path to the window to see their parent. And then there is the straight up, it's all there. It's a little bit longer. It gives more of the emotional appeal if you don't want to give your personal appeal. And then all you have to do is sign it. I think one of the most important elements of publicizing the need for these letters is to make it super simple for people to think about how to get that yellow envelope. And I appreciate that I saw in a written document that I think Carrie penned information that said you could go to the dollar store and get a greeting card with a yellow envelope and just take the yellow envelope, use the greeting card for something else, and be able to mail your letter. You don't have to go and buy 100 of them and have them shipped to you by UPS or whatever, unless you want to, ask other people to send them. So I think that's the beauty there. Yeah. And then the only other thing, we had some conversation, Jill had mentioned timing on these. We just need to be clear that everybody's clear about what the date is to mail it. And so whenever anything is put out on Facebook or communicated to people via email, we just need to be sure that they clearly understand how to get their hand on the link, an easy way to get their hand on a yellow envelope, and when it's supposed to be mailed. Those three things in my mind are what will make it easy for people to participate.
And that's what the graphics that Jill has done are going to communicate, because it will be a simple line within the graphic, and within the post will be the link and a short amount of directions. And when they click on the link, it will have everything they need to download.
That's awesome. And Jill, I just want to say you killed it on that graphic. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Jill,
great use of your gifts.
Can you take one of those yellow envelopes and do a graphic with like a store with a dollar sign in front of it? And then we could put on there, all else fails, go to the dollar store, just putting that instruction together. So it's visual of where am I going to find a yellow envelope?
That's like step one, get your yellow envelope.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know then too, the other piece of the puzzle that I had here was assisting Tammy. She had asked me about that in penning a letter to legislators. And I think that is also time really well spent. And the message would be similar, except appeal to them as a decision maker in the General Assembly in the state of Illinois.
Right. So the letter to the
surprised.
Right. So let me jump in here just 1 second.
Sure.
So the letter for the legislators needs to include information about March 12th. Okay. A short synopsis of what you just said, and information that we have a bill, and if we do not have a bill number yet by the point it's ready to go, then we're going to put that Jill Tracy has introduced it and wherever it's sitting at that moment. Okay. Perfect. Hopefully we have a bill number by that point, but Joe said yesterday she doesn't know yet.
The letters that Lori has written, we mail personally.
Correct.
Yes. All right. The legislator ones.
Tammy's mailing.
Tammy's no later than March 1st.
I just want to make it clear that we're not mailing the ones to the legislators ourselves.
No.
It's just the ones to CMS and Governor Pritzker.
Yes.
Right. And those are going to go absolutely, the ones from the legislator, hopefully all the components that Tammy needs should be in Tammy's lap by Monday at the latest. And the sooner they're ready, the sooner they can go.
Okay.
Some of the other events occurring. And so Peggy, would you mind talking about the state gathering a little bit and how it's on Facebook, please?
Yeah, so obviously we're going to gather on March 12th at 11, and that'll be our first display of the signs. And yeah, there is something out on Facebook, and maybe we might need to keep sharing that. Because right now, I think the only people that are joined are a few of us. So we'll probably need to send out that, you know, I can do that. Maybe, I don't know if we want to do it every day, or what do you think? Every day?
Every few days. And you can pin it as an announcement in our group as well if you want, Peggy.
Okay. Yeah. So we can get more
Stays
people.
In the top.
Yeah, it's kind of fallen down in the, you know, within the Facebook. So but yeah, so we'll be there at 11, and obviously Carrie, you know, gave, I think the main thing is, yeah, going to be to get the, you know, exposure, you know, with the signs. This will be our first display with the sign, you know, our first location with the signs. And yeah, so I think we said officially we'll start at 11. I don't know, maybe some of us get there earlier.
Carrie and I are going to be there about 8:30 in the morning to start getting the signs up.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I can get there. I might have to leave like at 4 in the morning or something. But yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, whoever can get there to help.
Somebody mentioned on Facebook, and I think it's a neat idea. They said that Joann's right now has a sale on yellow t-shirts. Wear something yellow.
Oh.
What do you guys think about that? Do you like that idea? Is that a kind of wonky idea? I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll find something yellow.
Yeah, I like that idea. I guess it's going to depend on temperature, because if we all have like jackets on, you might not be able to, you know, I guess we'll have to, but I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Or maybe even get a yellow mask.
Well, that's what I was asking Carrie, if we had any money left over from the sign campaign, which I don't think we do, because I was kind of looking into maybe getting some masks made. But yeah, I guess if anybody even just wants to purchase, you know, I was going to look into that. But yeah, a yellow mask. So
how much do you think a mask would cost?
What to order, like to have them made?
Yeah.
You know what, I'm not sure. I found a site, I forgot what it was. You know, obviously it depends if you put a logo, you know, obviously just a plain yellow mask. I don't think actually they were that expensive. And obviously it depends how many you order. So yeah, I mean, I can look into it and see if, you know, if we're interested in doing that.
But you were thinking of putting the logo on,
yeah,
or isolation kills.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, maybe our logo.
Like
I don't know.
The small logo on the side, kind of like you've seen on some other things.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, thank you, Peggy. That was great. I just want to point out that within the chat, Lori has put the tips for letter writing, and Janice has volunteered to send envelopes to anybody if anybody wants envelopes, because she just got a bunch. So, oh yeah, and her oversized yellow t-shirt to go over your coat, because there's a potential of it being cold.
Yeah.
Or a yellow blanket. Something yellow. How about that? Something yellow. A yellow something.
Are we going to have the buttons too?
Yes, we will have buttons, but I don't think they're yellow. They are. Do you see the logo on the ILC4C down there? That's what the buttons are going to have on them. Oh, yellow poncho. That's even a good idea.
Yep.
The buttons have been shipped. They should be at Tammy's no later than Monday. I got an email yesterday that they were shipped yesterday. So I know those are on the way to Tammy right now.
How many did you
When
order?
I looked,
how many buttons did we
order?
order?
I ordered 300.
Oh.
So that way there was enough for the legislators and us.
Okay, so you're going to put one in the envelope? Is that what?
Yep.
Oh, that's
yep.
awesome. That's great. That's awesome.
And when I looked at masks, having them custom made and being under 100 of them, you're talking about $10, at least around $10 a piece, if not more.
Really? Okay.
Because we can't order enough in bulk. From anywhere I found, if somebody else wants to look, please feel free.
Do you think you're going to have a good crowd?
The way I've heard a lot of people saying they're coming, and we're mailing letters to every representative and all the legislators in Illinois, inviting them to March 12th. So I'm hoping a lot of them show up, and I'm hoping there's a lot of us, because the more of us that will be there, the more attention we're going to garner.
I think this is a key component of what's been going on and what we all need at this point. Carrie, would you just give us a brief, what is an ombudsman, and then also a brief summary of what occurred the other day, please?
So an ombudsman is a third-party mediator. They are resident-driven. So ultimately, they are, before anything else, they're responsible to represent the resident, whether it's with the facility, with the family, or whatever. But especially because of COVID, they're working with families more than they ever have. And they will help negotiate with a facility about compassionate care, essential care, all the rest of it. But at the same time, let's say one of us asks them, "Who will you help me get in?" And they go talk to your dad, and your dad's like, "I don't want her here." They will stop. Understand that. It has to be resident driven. But at the same time, they are really getting better every week of helping between a facility and a family of getting people in. Every time we make a good video, it goes to the state ombudsman, and she makes them all watch it.
Thanks, Carrie. I just shared into the chat. It's a link to a folder of what the presentation that was done on Saturday, and I'm still working on editing that video because it was a little long. But within this folder, you're going to find all the documentation that was shared on that day and the most up-to-date current list of your contacts for ombudsman through the state of Illinois. Hey, Carrie, would you like to tell us how many people were there
I think
on Saturday?
No, we had more than
the quick thing what you did?
I think at one point we were over 20.
Wow, good.
And it was really good. And people asked a lot of questions. The ultimate goal when Fran's done editing will be when someone says, "Hey, I need help, and help me get in," we're going to be able to direct them, watch the video, look at the information, even attempt to write your letter. I'll look at them. And I tell people, I don't check them for grammar, I don't check them for spelling, but I can check for content. This will make helping other families easier.
All right, thanks, Carrie. Shift gears a little bit. We're heading to old business briefly. We have a Facebook profile frame that is within the announcements on our Facebook group page. You can click on that link and it'll take you directly to it. And we're asking if everyone would add that to your profile picture from now and through the anniversary date to raise awareness, to let your friends and family know, because one of the biggest discussions we're seeing on our group page and within ourselves is the media is portraying it, oh, the vaccines are out and things are opening up. Well, it's really just kind of a misinformation is what is occurring, because they're not technically really opening up. There may be visitation, but they're spread it out even further because they've opened up so you can socially distance within an indoor visit. So this Facebook profile frame could open lots of communication and raise awareness. And the next thing within that, on all social media, if you will tag any post you use concerning your loved one, your visitation things. Kathy, like when you took that picture, that was awesome, of the very cold day standing outside, and you tagged it, isolation kills too. So I actually looked it up on Facebook. I put that hashtag in, and it brings up all those kinds of posts. So, and that's an lowercase l, it's LTC Reunite Families, and then Caregivers for Compromise IL. There's no space within hashtags. And real quick, just what a hashtag does is it populates all posts with that hashtag. And the more the hashtag is used, the more often it'll come up when you even start it. So that's actually even a push on the national page. I saw that they had added that hashtag as well. Do we have new business?
No, there wasn't anything under it. Fran, I just put it on in case somebody else had something, you know, just seems like.
Okay.
So I'm not aware of anything, but.
Our next meeting will be.
Yeah, so it'll be in the evening. So every other week we have an evening meeting. The even Thursdays of the month, 2nd and 4th, will be in the evening. Thought it would make it easier for some people to make it that had to work and stuff. On the 25th at 7 p.m.
I just wanted to make you aware that, and we do try to send out the agenda ahead of time or an email. And just so you know, the link for the Zoom meeting and the password is the same all the time. So once you get it, you're good. I'm going to share a couple of links in the chat for you. One of them is a link to a Google. We use Google a lot to share information. Is a Google folder that has the most current guidelines, the most current, and within it will also be like an important links piece of information in there for you to access as well. But we will try to email you. We don't want to spam you, but we want to get you the most important information.